Meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us at the Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 meeting of the City of Sydney Council meeting, greatest city in the world. We will do this meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, which is posted right over there by Mike. He's keeping track of it for me. And then we will start with comments from the public. If anybody from the public wants to come up to the podium and give a speech, sing, talk, ask questions that won't be answered. All right. There is plenty of time for that. We will move on to approval of the council meeting minutes for February 25th, 2025.
I'll motion.
Motion by Bondegaard,
I'll second.
second by Radcliffe. Roll call, please.
Kirkman?
Abstain.
Coons?
Yes.
Sherman?
Abstain.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegard?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 3 and 2 abstentions. All right. Now we've got our second official order of business, the bid for the 1705 Illinois Street.
I believe the clerk has there was just one, right?
Just there,
And that will be the deed. I need to open that then.
there's just one bid, and Kendra, do you wanna?
Sure.
I wonder who it is.
I wonder who that is, yeah.
The suspense is killing us.
Uncertain Investments made a bid. Do I read the formal bid amount?
Yes.
The amount, yeah.
Okay, so, 71,000 for 1705 Illinois Street.
71 grand.
Well, that's an excellent. Thank you, anonymous donor or
Purchaser.
purchaser. Yes. Is that all we got to do? We have to make a motion to accept that. Can we renegotiate?
And I think,
Can you renegotiate?
I believe the verbiage in there too does say that the bid will comply with whatever zoning and all that stuff.
Yeah, he says this property will be used as a rental for future businesses that will comply with all the zoning laws of the property. At the current time, we do not have a renter in place, however, have had several individuals inquire about renting the property. We do not have a property improvement plan, as this depends upon the specific needs of the tenant.
So,
Very professionally
we
written.
did require it to follow whatever the current zoning.
We will be giving 6 to 8 months away free rent for if we get a suitable business. So, if you accept the bid.
Yeah.
We'll see if they accept the bid.
Well, do we have a motion to accept the bid?
Motion to accept the bid.
I'll second.
Motion by Kirkman, second by Bondegaard. Roll call, please.
Coons?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegard?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
Looks like it passed 5-0.
Here's the
So,
check and the funds, and the approved funds.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
perfect.
Wait,
See that.
And then there,
wait,
Matt.
Matt,
Do we need to sign that tonight, or do we need to?
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe,
okay.
yeah.
We do have the agreement. So, unless he wants to come look at it.
He could take time to look at it. if-
You want
if
to look
you'd
at the
like.
sale agreement and come in tomorrow or next day or something?
Whatever.
Do you wanna just do the
Give it to him.
sales?
Do we have a
agreement?
copy
Here, I
for
can-
him?
I don't have a copy of
You
that
don't have a
sales
copy of
agreement.
it?
I do.
Otherwise, I can email it to you tomorrow.
so do we,
This is it, right? Oh, that's where it starts, right?
Mhm.
That's my punched one, but I'll give you something to look at and then.
so are we making a motion for us approving the sales agreement that we're allowing him to look at? And then decide.
Right. So you're
We're
making
just
it-
approving that the sales agreement was written in accordance to our
Exactly.
wants and needs, and then this young man can decide.
If he is willing to accept it.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept the agreement?
Motion to accept the agreement.
Motion by Kirkman,
I'll second.
second by Bonnegaard. Roll call, please.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bonnegaard?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
Coons?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 5-0. He has in his hand the official agreement that he can choose to sign at his earliest convenience. All right. Well, again, thank you. And then we will just move right in to a public hearing for Resolution 202-50301, the 2025 1- and 6-year street improvement plan by Kyle and Hank.
Yep, 5:36.
536.
Councilman, Honorable Mayor, butter you up a little bit. Now, we're here to do the annual
We
1
will.
and 6 program required by law. This is the annual thing we do every year for the state. We got to send it in so they know what we're doing with our monies and stuff. Kyle was learning more and more and training more and more about the job. Someday I'm going to retire, and he's going to want to take over so far. But he has last year prepared it. I think this is like actually the third year he's prepared it. He presented it last year, and so he prepared it again this year, so he's going to present it to you again this year.
Fantastic.
Alrighty, annual 1 and 6 for calendar
Okay, that's clear.
calendar year 2025. Each municipality, according to state statute 392115, shall develop a long-range 6-year plan of street improvements based on priority of needs and calculated to contribute to the orderly development of an integrated statewide system of highways, roads, and streets. Allocation of funds are based on total population, 50%, based on the most recent census. Total motor vehicle registrations in the county is 30% of our equation, and then lane miles for the city of Sydney is 20% of the equation, based off the most recent inventory at state of Nebraska. The matching funds requirement, each city of first or second class or village shall be entitled to 1/2 of its annual allocation with no requirement of matching, but shall be required to match the second 1/2 on the basis of $1 for each $2 it receives, with any available funds. Any municipality which during the preceding fiscal year failed to provide the matching funds required by this subsection shall forfeit so much of its allocation as it fails to match. And in the 1 and 6, we have 3 forms we got to fill out. And first one is our Form 11, which is previous year, 1 year improvements. What the form looks like. Our project numbers over on the left. Length in feet, cost, and date completed. So for our Form 11 last year, we did, Forest Street was 172, and I got some before and after pictures there for you. And then 14th Avenue drainage improvement, which runs to the east of Day and Night. It actually started about just east of the old of the flooring garage building. It started there and it ran to 14th, and then 19th Avenue resurface, which was just kind of a branch of the forest project. Runs along the east side of North Park there. And that's our Form 11. And on your Form 8, I had, for lack of a better term, guesstimated the numbers, and I hadn't received better estimates yet as of when you guys got your packets. But I got those at the end of last week. And so the numbers on your guys' stuff won't match these, but these are updated and as current as I could get. So our Form 8 for this year would be a one-year plan design for these 4 projects. And so 12th Avenue from Hickory to Illinois Street, 11th Avenue from Hickory to Illinois Street, and then Hickory from 12th to 10th Avenue, and then King Street from 10th Avenue to 9th Avenue. And our one-year plan is to get these designed. We'd like. And then this is our Form 8, what it looks like. What we're gonna do. And then, not that they're very good pictures, but for reference, project numbers, and this is looking each way on those streets. Hickory and then King. So, and then for our Form 9, which would be our 6-year improvement plan, basically stays the same as our Form 8, other than we add the 2 projects at the bottom that we won't, they're on the 6-year plan, but we won't get design or anything for those. They're just there for future reference. Next on the list, I guess, you would say. And so these are all of them together. 179 is Keller would be back behind the where the nursing home used to be, that stretch. And then 180 would be out there at the industrial to the east of Next Gen, out in that area. And then the project map, which I'm missing a red line down there on 14th and Jackson, but so sorry. I'm not a map maker. And that's it.
All right. So the 1-year plan, that's to design and then also to
Yeah.
carry it out, or?
Get design first, plan drawings.
If we get it designed, and then that's gonna give us a closer cost of what it's gonna cost us. We get it designed this year so we can get it, so when we go into budget, we say, here's the figures it's gonna cost. So then we have them before budget, hopefully, with the design, and then we have a closer thing, so you know what cost you're looking at.
Yep.
For those 4 projects.
Yep.
Those are all like downtown projects. Last year, we did a couple on the north side and the one drain. But if we can get them designed and you okay it, then that's what we'll be doing for next year's road projects. We can do all 4 of them, we'll get a better cost, as you guys know. You do 1 block at a time, the contractor isn't gonna wanna come here and do 1 or 2 blocks. If you get them all, you get a better price. North side, that's why we did that. 19th, while they were here, did a good, better cost for it.
And then you spoke of lane miles. Explain lane miles and
Okay,
what we've
I
got.
got that down here because we knew you was gonna ask.
It's my favorite part.
So it's how many actual driving lane miles we have in Sydney. It's 214, just
And that's your driving.
driving
miles.
lanes.
Your center lane miles is 65 something. So with that said, if we were to like plow every street or worked every lane of it, that's from Sydney to Kearney Archway. So can you imagine if you were, people, why don't you plow everything curb to curb? Well, if we did, how long would that take us at 15 miles an hour in town? And how many blades would you wear out? That just kind of shows you the example how far it goes.
Yeah, that's a lot of lane miles, a lot
It is.
of scooping and plowing when it snows.
And that's what we're maintaining that much.
Yep.
I mean, we're patching and stuff. Sure, not every street every time gets patched, but eventually every lane mile probably does get worked on, even the dirt ones.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. It's a lot you guys are in charge of. Any other questions for these young men?
Yeah, I got a question. So, the numbers that we had in our packet there were obviously significantly lower.
Yeah.
So, are we just getting closer to a number here, or do you think it's gonna be?
Yeah, yeah, and I have the detailed spreadsheet they sent me. That is really close, like curb and gutter and ADA ramps and all that stuff. Before, the numbers were just a square foot number. It was just a guess, you know, it cost $60 a square foot and, or whatever it was, whatever the number was.
And if we was to do those projects next year, we'd make sure the utilities are taken care of underneath. Because we're not building no more streets if utilities ain't taken care of. Because we ended up like 13th, how many times we've opened it up.
Yep.
And so, the good thing is, like, we get design, we get the deal, and if we're going okay budget time, we can give that, because, let's say, I don't know what's under there. Let's say you got your gas, utilities, phone. That gives them a year for them to budget to realize if they're gonna have to replace anything or not. They may not have to, they may in some. That's part of the reason for get a design first. And if it's approved, it gives them time to be able to put their budgets in.
Well,
That's what we did on Fourth Street, and it worked out great.
well, again, it's a process you guys have to go through every year, and we appreciate the update. Also appreciate the fact that you've got a young man here that's capable of taking over for you when you retire in 4 or 5 years.
I think we better cut that in about half of that, maybe.
Oh, well, let's not get crazy here.
But he does a fine job. He takes over my absence. I've been showing him a little bit more than that. And this year, budget time, he wants to get more involved in it, so he'll be from the ground up on the budgeting with me this year. So I can have a better understanding of it. You never know what's gonna happen to you.
And how many 1 and 6 year plans have you given so far?
Oh. Well, I've been here 38 years, but I haven't been doing it, they're probably about 10, 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of experience. You're learning good, Kyle.
Yeah. I'll admit that. It's teaching me good.
All right, anything else before we end this public hearing? All right, you
Thanks,
kids are
guys.
free to sit down.
Thank you.
We'll end the public hearing at 5:47. And then we are looking for a motion to accept the 1 and 6 year plan.
I'll make a motion
Oh,
to accept the 1 and 6 year
I
plan.
think you had him. but
He
then
sounded so
stopped.
much better,
It
though.
was. He was aggressive. Motion by Coons,
I'll second.
second by Radcliffe. Roll call, please.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bonnegar?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
Coons?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. All right. Now we'll jump right into another public hearing, which will start at 5:48 for Resolution 202-50302, funding for Transportation Department.
Council, Mayor. All right. Public transportation continues to be an important part of the network of services provided by the city by utilizing the Dial-A-Ride service. The public transportation service are open to all persons operating inside of the corporate city limits of the city of Sydney. We provide service to all ages of people, ranging from pre-K students, working class, to the elderly, and with ADA compliant vehicles for anyone with disabilities. Every 2 years, the State Transportation Department requires us to pass a 2-year budget to request our state and federal funding match. I am asking the City Council to pass the attached resolution approving the Local 531 match for the funding application for public transportation. The operating assistance is for the 2-year time frame, July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027. In the past, we have always accepted this for our match. So how it works with our local match and stuff like that is we get reimbursed backup percentages, whether it's operating or non-operating, where you can see operating budget the city will pay 25% of that number. And then for the non-operating, it's 10%, which, split down 80% federal, 10% state, and then 10% local. So when I start say the first big number here, don't get, too over the top until we get going through it. We apply biannually in the funding through the Nebraska Department of Roads. So for their 2-year projected cost, it's $1,326,940, with my projected revenue at $61,200, which is the deficit of $1,265,740. Sorry. This qualifies us for federal funding of $824,953, and the state funding of $220,303, and that's. There was $1 off there, and that threw me off real too. So we're 304 there. The state's 303. Just $1 there. So for the operating deficit, the projected operating cost is $680,396, and then with your revenue of $61,200, it comes out to be an operating deficit of $625,196, which, when it comes down to our local match at 25%, is $156,300, and that's for the 2 years. And then for our non-operating costs, it's $640,544 with 10% local match, which is $64,055. Operating budget is our dispatcher, our driver, and pretty much our gas. That's about the only 3 things that go on your operating. So non-operating is me, maintenance, internet, rent, office supplies, everything like that goes underneath the non-operating, and then that comes back at 10%. So for our total local match, it is $220,304, and this comes out to being about $110,152 per year is what we're asking for in our local match, or the 2 years up to $220,304. Like I said, included this rent is computer costs, which is our dispatching service. I think that's around $10,000 or $12,000 a year for our dispatching, which is in the last couple of years that we've had it has been so amazing. Where we're not on the phones, we're not on walkie-talkies. We just send it to the driver's tablet. They aren't distracted. It pops up on their tablet. Quick look down. They know where they're going. That has really increased safety and efficiency for what we've been doing. We kind of talked about this last time I was here. We did put aside $100,000, and 20 of that would be, or 80,000 of that would be given back after we do it. That's for a survey, EPA, if we do look to possibly build a new building. So we pay for surveys, EPA studies, and all the findings, and then obviously we're reimbursed back. And then we could move forward if we want to look at a possible new building. And I was going to say the one thing that's fun about that is if they want us, so our local match can be through the buying of land. So if we buy 4 or 5 acres, that money that we bought that land for would actually count towards our local match. So we would be acquiring the land and, getting some local match funds coming in that way. And so that will help with the cost of a new building. And we're working with Olson Associates moving forward with that, but that's still they say it's about a 3 or 4 year process, and we're kind of just getting started and talking about it. But for that, on that next page, we have our monthly rider numbers. Obviously, I think you guys got this one, didn't you, on the thing? Mm-hmm. The numbers kind of speak for themselves with this last year. Since 2020, every month has been better than the previous year, and that means we're just moving forward. We've had 1 month where we've almost come up on 4,000 rides in a month, and our highest date to total is 220 rides in a day. So we're moving forward, we're busy, and yes, this will definitely keep us on the road. That's what I have for you.
Keep us on the road. I like that.
This one.
Got to have a slogan. So you mentioned Not yourself, but your dispatcher, and how many drivers do you have?
We have 11 drivers, yes.
11 drivers. That's part of the operating costs for
Yes,
this.
all of them are part-time, yes.
So for $110,000 a year, we get 11 drivers, a dispatcher, employed, and then move how many people a month? About
About 3,000.
about
probably on
3,000
average,
people a
yeah.
month. It's not a bad deal, really.
No, I told someone, I was like, you pay for me and Christine to tell people what to do, and we get free drivers, free buses, free gas, free maintenance, free rent, free internet. I mean, it's kind of where you're at with everything, so it's kind of a no-brainer at this point.
Well, and with the numbers, I mean, it's clearly a service that certainly needs to be provided.
Yes, and it has increased with, we've had the partnership with Kimball, which has definitely helped out. We have some riders coming in from Kimball. When the school limited their bus service, we were able to provide assistance for the school. I mean, we're not in an agreement or anything with them, but, they came to us and said, hey, if kids need rides, can they reach out to you? And so we said, yes, we will be available for kids if, they're not able to ride the bus. And then we have been working Saturdays. We actually had 2 drivers last Saturday because we've had so many people start riding the bus on Saturday. And then also, I think only Burke and Brad were here. We are entering a contract with MTM, which was the same as Motive Care. And what that is it's a Medicaid, Medicare program. And we're able to provide rides for those that are on Medicaid, Medicare to the hospital. And then they give us some money back. And actually, it's more per ride than a normal walk-on rider. And so that'll be really nice. And that actually goes towards our local match. And since we haven't done it in a while, I couldn't really guess how many rides we would have. But in the future, that local match could go from, 220,000 to 200,000 because of the MTM rides and stuff like that. So we're really excited to be moving forward with the MTM contract.
Is that MTM just local then, or?
Yes, we will stay local. Obviously, Kimball does it, and a lot of other agencies, Tri-City Roadrunner up in Scottsbluff, they run MTM as well. And so, but, obviously, Kimball goes a lot farther than we do, but we would get local rides to the hospital, yes.
Fantastic. And you can just go down there and get one of these punch cards for 10 rides. A heck of a deal. You can, you could drop your car off at the shop and call you, and you'll run over and take me back to work, and a heck of a deal for $1.50.
$1.50, that's all. And you might get to talk to me on the phone, so
That would
that's
be an
worth
extra
it right
bonus.
there. That's
That would be a bonus, because you'd answer that phone more than you would your cell phone. But I'm not going to mention that at all. Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll let you sit back down, and we'll decide your fate after we end this session at 5:58. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the application for funding for the Transportation
move.
Department? Wow. Motion by Bondegard.
I will second.
Second by Kirkman. Roll call, please.
Bonnegar,
Yes.
Kirkman,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 5-0 to continue the fine transportation service we have here in Sidney, Nebraska. All right. Now we have, you got to come back up here for 202-50303.
I didn't know if you really wanted me to.
I tell you what, it's just amazing that you listen.
Okay.
I appreciate that in itself.
Do I need to reintroduce myself? Or All right. With transportation needs and the public expanding in the city, the city council has approved additional passenger buses that are starting to arrive. This has created a need for more space to house the fleet. I'm requesting the city council's permission to rent additional space to help with fleet parking. We've never, done this before, so that's kind of new for this. But transportation picked up 1 new bus on January 10th and has another 2 buses coming within the next month. With the fleet growing, we're in need of additional parking for the buses and for the drivers. After discussion with the FTA, David and myself have come to an agreement, and we looked at the building it is 1730 Illinois Street. It's right next to Rude's, just to the east of Rude's. It used to be like an old tire shop, I think, back in the day, but it's just a big empty building is pretty much what it is. It's 24,000 square feet, and like I said, it's an open concept, and it's 2 blocks away from our building, still on Main Street. Per the agreement, rent will be set at $1,600 monthly plus our portion of the utilities. The City of Sydney Transportation would be paying roughly about $160 a month plus the utilities for this building. And that will be broke down to 80% federal, 10% state, and 10% of a local match. So I'm asking for $160 a month plus, utilities for a 24,000 square foot building to house our vehicles in, obviously with the weather, and just, it's nice to have vehicles indoors. And with new buses coming in and new wraps and stuff going on them, it would be very nice to have. We have went over with the lease agreement. We had Kendra look at it, and we had a couple things changed. And the only thing was the one thing that you said was the 90-day notice to end it. We got it shortened down. We talked to him through 30 days. Needed to shorten that lease. So everything, Kendra went over it. I believe David has reviewed it, and we'd like to move forward with renting a building to help us.
All right. And just for clarification, I think you said 24,000, but you meant 2,400, right?
Yeah, 2,400. Sorry.
That'd be a big building.
Yeah, sorry, 2,400.
But that's all right. That would be a better deal.
Yeah.
You okay with that garage door on there? It looks a
He
little-
is actually, when we met with him, that is being replaced April 5th.
Perfect.
He's coming in and having David Fritz replace the door on the building. And then we have talked to him a couple other concerns with windows. He's planning on replacing those. And then other than that, like I said, it's a couple of garage door openers, park buses, and, we're not going to operate anything out of there. It's just going to be a little bus storage area.
We took Marshall with us when we walked through it too, so he could make sure it fits with all the standards.
All right. Well, before we let him sit down again, any more questions? We good? All right. Well, fantastic.
All right.
Thank you again.
Yes, thanks, guys.
We have a motion to approve the transportation rental space.
Motion.
Motion by Kirkman, I'll second.
Second by Coons. Roll call, please.
Kirkman,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Bonnegaard.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right. Brandy has 2, so we will not make her sit down in between her 2 presentations.
Hello, Council. I've been your Economic Development Director now for 1 year as of yesterday, so figured it was time for an update on what's been going on in my department for the past year. Before I get into that, do you still want this to be a quarterly thing? Because I guess in the past it was a quarterly update, or do you want to keep it at an annual?
Oh, quarterly. Quarterly makes us happy.
Okay, because that's a lot less to go over too, because we got a lot.
Well, you do it
My
monthly
best
too, weekly if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do my best not to talk all night, but we'll go over the big things for sure. Economic development is a big beast. We know we focus on childcare, housing, and job retention and creation mostly, but there's a lot of different moving parts that go into that. So we'll start with housing and what's going on there. We know that we are waiting on those 11 houses, but that was before me. So after I got here, Integrity Construction approached us. They wanted to start building houses in Sydney as well. Started with 2, and they're pretty optimistic that they're going to have those 2 built by the end of the summer. So knock on wood, that happens. Their plan is to keep moving forward with that. As the funds go back into rural workforce housing, then they'll just keep building 2 more at a time. So hopefully we keep seeing the ranch develop out. It'll all depend on how those houses sell. It's always a waiting game when it comes to that part. Additionally, we've got the Housing Authority right now working on the low to moderate income housing issue that we're facing in Sydney. We know we need more of it. They have identified a developer to work with. He's actually going to be here tomorrow morning to meet with a couple folks just face to face, do the meet and greet, and figure out where we think in the city might be the best spot for that low to moderate income housing. I think we're looking at roughly 14 units for now, but that could change, and it all depends on what the housing authority decides to move forward with. So I've just been trying to help them connect the dots, talking to our regional housing rep, Christy McClung. She's answered a lot of questions and got us a lot of connections that we needed to make that happen. So we'll keep working with them, and you'll probably see that come up on another future agenda as things develop there. So then we've got downtown revitalization is another big one right now. It's a CDBG fund, community block development grant that we got from the state. We have roughly a year and a half left to spend those funds. We finally have 4 applications in for that, and David Wilanko is our grant administrator out of Scottsbluff, well, out of PAD. And he's working on the environmental studies for those. So you should see some improvements coming to some of the downtown buildings, hopefully very soon. That's a lot of footwork. We have to do pictures, collect a lot of paperwork, and that's a lot of time that I've been putting in right now for that, just trying to get that grant spent, because it's really important that we spend CDBG funds when we get them, so that we have the opportunity to get them again in the future if we decide to apply. So then we've got leading into Historic Preservation Board topics. There's a lot of incentives that go to that board for approval, like signage, facade enhancement. Rental assist is between the chamber and the board, and they're working on some gray spaces with that arrangement right now. But I go out and talk to a lot of the building owners for that too, trying to see if there's anything anyone needs. There are some improvements coming through facade and signage very soon as well. So. Then just the general outreach. So I have been connecting with some business owners that do franchises, trying to see if there's anything that wants to move into Sydney. If it's not moving as fast as the public or the council would like to see, it comes down to some factors with some of these franchises. A lot of the time, it's population, and we don't have the population size that a lot of them like to see. Like, many people would love to see Chick-fil-A, but they will never come to Sydney until we grow astronomically. So for now, Chick-fil-A is not on the table. Sorry, guys. I don't know anything about the Cabela's building yet. I don't think I'm going to know until you know. We'll probably all know at the same time. Okay, so partnerships is a really big one for economic development. Partner with tourism, partner with the chamber, partner with E3. All of these are really important, so we keep things moving in the right direction. For example, when a small business owner comes to me and they need assistance with a business plan or a grant, I usually send them off to E3 so I can focus on what we need to apply for or work on at the municipality level. And then they'll really get into the weeds. I know a couple of the industrial park potentials are working on a business plan as we speak. Touch and go on if they're communicating with E3, so we're working through that. And that's another big topic is the industrial park. I've had at least 5 businesses that are interested in moving out there. I think we're gonna have to get really serious in the future about discussing infrastructure out there so people get more interested in moving their businesses and building them out there. Yeah. So I do think that's also going to come up again on the discussion board on trying to develop the industrial park so that we can get more businesses out there. Like I said, 5 businesses, but they're all just talking right now. I'll share as we move forward. I know you guys are tracking 2 of them. One says he's working with his lawyers, and the other one's working on his business plan. So as things develop, I'll let you know. So childcare, you guys know that we did the agreement with the community center. That got finished up, I believe, and we're working on the payments.
Job
So
creation.
yeah, as it comes, they'll get their reimbursement payments for job
They just did a
creation.
ribbon cutting, didn't they? Like last week or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so that finished up. And on that note, at one point, Grace Gardens was expanding their childcare as well. I don't know where that's sitting anymore, but we did help them get a small grant to help assist with some job creation there. They did land that one. And then there's a huge thing with communication, I think, in all departments here. So my communication with the other departments is really important, especially when we have another business that's talking about moving in. I have to be able to talk to my electric department, my water departments, who are everyone involved with those. And so far, they've been amazing to work with. I can't think of a single department that hasn't been really awesome to talk to. And then communication with the public has been touch and go. You guys know that as well as the council. So I'm doing what I can with marketing to see how much communication flow we can expand on between economic development and the public to see what they would like. As far as funding applications right now, I don't know how many of you saw, but the Creative District did land a $1,000 grant from the state, a $100,000 grant from the state, sorry, in an effort to get us our own stage, so we can save some money for some of the local projects or events that go on. And then I know that there's some growth there as well. Some of the businesses are talking about using that stage as well. We're partnering with Potter for that one, their creative district. And then I think we have a little bit of funding left to get for that project, and it'll be all done. Then we got to work on storage, and that's going to be a tricky point. We'll have to figure out where we store the stage, but
Transportation has
Yeah, 24,000 feet, it should be.
we've
a
talked a
stage in
little.
there.
I don't know where it's going to land. I don't want to count my chickens yet on that one. You guys know that we did apply for the CCCFF fund. We should have an answer by the end of this month on that one. And that's in relation to the Northside Park project. We'll keep looking for funding opportunities. There's a potential one for a foundation funding opportunity coming up. That foundation is out of the east side of the state. I'm still reading on if we will be a good applicant for that one. And then we are applying for one more arts program from the national level, a grant from that level. It's going to be a sit-down working group for the Creative District to figure out what art initiatives we want to bring to the city in correlation with tourism, because that's how we draw in foot traffic and get more sales tax for us. One thing I did not include on here, but I really want to make sure that we highlight, Corey Wells is my new marketing rep, as you know. She's put in a lot of time working with the other departments as well, and I think that's important to talk about a little bit. She's helped streets with some, visual aids. And then she's working with transportation, and she's done some stuff for parks as well. So it's not just my department that she's helping with marketing. And I think it really shows. It looks phenomenal on our social media page, and we're making sure that we're sharing it with the city's page as well. So, people are informed of whether it's emergency routes or snow routes, or initiatives for the park, like the free giveaway that we've got coming up. And then I think Casey wanted some flyers for the transportation department, so they were working on that last I knew as well.
They look really good, yes.
So we're trying to make sure that with her position, we're affecting all the departments and offering help wherever we can when it comes to marketing, since we know that they don't all have a marketing rep as well. She has accompanied me on trips if I need to go somewhere, to just get a little bit of face time out there and make sure that we show the public that we are trying to bring in their ideas and incorporate everyone's opinions and thoughts on different matters going on economically. Okay, I tried really hard not to talk all night. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I got a lot of questions.
Okay.
So, I'm just gonna start with some general stuff. I was trying to make sure I took some good notes on all this stuff here too. So, okay, and I'm sorry, what was your name?
Corey Wells.
Okay, and then so, are you on contract then with, okay. And so, okay, so you're responsible for just general marketing for economic development, but then you're also helping out other departments? I'm just trying to make sense of that.
Yes, yes. She's under contract for my department, but we're offering help and assistance for marketing to the other departments as well. She will be working with me on revamping, I guess is the best word, our city website. So we've started discussing what we think it should look like and a better way for people to get to the information they're looking for. I know especially on my page, it's kind of rough. It's very wordy. So we're trying to figure out a better way for people to get to those incentive packets or applications, LB 840 information, all of that.
Okay, and so you run the, I don't know what social media we have right now, but I know there's a Facebook. I don't use Facebook, but there's Facebook. And is there anything else that we're running social media wise?
Not as of now. For now, we focus on Facebook. I think we have an Instagram, but it's kind of just dormant.
We did have one at one point.
I know that I get like notifications from Instagram, but it's really about other people's activity, not our activity, because we're not doing anything with it. I don't know if you guys want to see us develop the Instagram page. We can if that's something you want to see.
Run that one by me.
If you guys would like to see the Instagram page come to life, if you'd like us to start.
I mean, they're both linked together, Facebook, Instagram, like, it's all the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you're communicating with her constantly, so she can update all the marketing stuff, but then between all these other departments, how hard is it to get, something to market, right? Like, meaning, are they just coming to you, and saying, hey, we wanna, like, let's say Sam says, hey, I wanna let you know, this is what's happening with PD, here, like, or do you really have to, like, get it out of people? I'm just kinda curious about that.
So far, when people have asked for help, it's been at our staff meetings. I put it out to the staff that they're welcome to use my marketing rep if they have something that they would like to do. So, yeah, every department head is tracking that it's out there, the offer's out there.
So then Sam's still responsible for his Facebook page, then basically is what you're saying, but if he just needs help, you're a resource between your resources. Okay, got it. I'm just trying to make sense of all this stuff. Okay. So general questions. I'm like a data junkie. I don't know if you've heard this or not. So I love details. I like a lot of data, right? Like I like what Casey brings, with breaking down here, so many charts, pictures, visual aids, all that. Right? So when I'm looking at this, I guess I'm just kind of curious to know if you keep like some sort of opportunities list somewhere. I mean, obviously you mentioned there was 5 different potential businesses for the
Industrial park.
Right? But okay, so do you have an opportunities list? How do you, if you do, how do you track that? Obviously you got different stages, but I think it's also you're trying to figure out what kind of revenue funnel or possible housing, opportunities you have with that, or potential, employees that this business brings. Do you track that? Where do you track that? How do you track that?
So it depends on what you're tracking. If you're tracking availability for housing, we created pamphlets, both hard copy, and we marketed it as well. We share that at conferences with housing possibilities like developers as well. And I think we're going to the next housing conference at the end of April. I know David's going to another one at the end of this month, so he'll be sharing those same pamphlets, trying to draw in developers. And then when it comes to our incentives, the other incentives that we offer, we've been blasting just snapshots of information. This is what qualifies you for this incentive. I track all of it really within my own office, but then I share the information with her so that she can make sure that it becomes comprehensible when it's shared with the public.
Okay. So you might have some data that you could share, if we're gonna do quarterly, maybe next quarter.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it might be helpful to, by the quarter, if you would provide also, how many businesses were helped maybe by a facade grant, or how many signage grants, or how many of those types of things that we've done each
Okay.
quarter. Would that be helpful to see that kind of, because we can certainly do that. Yeah, we have all that.
And in correlation to that, we have started interviews with the businesses that have used our incentives so they can let people know how the process is, what they would like to see, if it's any different, or what went really well for them.
Okay. What sort of metrics are you tracking right now? Or let me ask you this way. When you came in, what sort of metrics did you have before your time, and where are you at now, and sort of where do you think you're going?
Well, as far as metrics before I came in, we had what Facebook would offer. It wasn't a lot, but metrics can now be tracked by Corey on our Facebook page, at least at that level. And then I also have Placer AI if we're talking about how we want to pull in business opportunities or housing opportunities for the area. I know that some developers have asked for those metrics. So it's really just letting them know the foot traffic of the space and the likelihood of drawing people in. If you want to see those metrics, I can definitely give you an update on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be good. I think I'm looking more for well, how big was the, housing opportunity? Or how big was it when we came in? Okay, so you came in and then maybe there was 11 homes or whatever that were already drawn up, that was a goal. Okay, so now you come in, you've got 2 that are coming, and we don't know when 2 more are coming, that's a developing situation, but I guess it's kind of like what do you do to track how well you're doing at the economic development job?
It's a really good question. There's so many hit or misses, and a lot depends on if we can pull in the right people. So with housing, we can go out there and talk to 100 developers and only land a few, and all of them see it differently. I only want to build a couple. I want to build a bunch, but you have to help me, you have to give me, whether it's TIF or something, they want some kind of incentive. So it's all about the incentives we can offer them to come develop here. That's a difficult to say what we could do.
Yeah, I mean,
I can make a
think
goal.
It'd be like, and I guess metrics would be just like activity, like, right? Okay, so I talked to X amount of contractors over the last 6 months, 3 months, year, whatever the story is. Maybe you have some sort of goals that you would like to hit. Okay, I want to get to this many different contractors, right? Like, obviously, you don't have control over the back end. You can try to give them incentives to be like, hey, we would really like you to build here so we can do blah, blah, blah for you. But it's just like the outreach side of things as far as that, you know, that's the sort of stuff that I'd be looking for. Okay, so in the last year, I talked to this many contractors that are within our general region. I talked to every single one of them that's out there, right? Whatever the story is there. And then just a general breakdown of why they're not coming here, you know, if they end up saying no, right?
Okay.
Just so we can get kind of an idea of where you're at. And then sort of the same thing with, you know, building out the industrial park. Like, okay, so you've got 5 different prospects right now, right? So you could just say, okay, we've had this many RFIs or whatever, request for information, right? Out of that, we went to the next stage on there, which is maybe discovery or something along those lines, right? And so you can just kind of see, hey, we've got this many opportunities that came in, this many went to phase 2, you know, which is discovery, and this many went to phase 3, which is, you know, maybe there was a funding thing or something like that, or a building project, or something like that, or application for permit, whatever stages you want to identify in those things. I just think those things would be really helpful.
We can definitely pull permitting numbers. Marshall would have all that easily.
Yeah, I do have numbers for all that, and I can compile those for you at the next quarterly meeting if you want, or even bring them to the next
That'd be
meeting. If that's what
fantastic.
you want.
Yeah, I think if
Okay.
we do it once a quarter, I think we can bang out a lot more numbers.
And that's great info to have, because coming into this, I didn't really know what you guys would want to see. So I just kind of gave you a general overlook, but I can definitely create those numbers for you based on what we've done over the last year and then up to the next quarter. So I can give you an update to now at the next quarterly meeting and then the quarterly meeting update as well.
Anybody have any questions before I just keep on?
I've got
What?
one.
This is you're on a roll there.
Was the Placer AI, is that what you mentioned earlier that you got that subscription for? So far, is it thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs on the side?
I'm
about
in the middle.
Thumbs on the side?
I've used it and given the information to some developers and to some projects that have asked for it. They want to know if this is a good place to put their business, and maybe get some kind of idea on what numbers they would pull in. But I'm still on the fence with it.
Fair enough.
So I am yet to be swayed, I think, one way or the other.
Okay.
Is there any, oh, go ahead, Rob.
Since we're talking about the Placer AI, Have you thought about the new businesses that are coming in? You know, if they've been here 1 year, take them their numbers.
Yes.
Say, this is where you're at.
And I can, and I try to be really careful about that because some will get touchy if I dig too much into their information. So I do let them know that it's there and they can come to me for their numbers. But I mean, if you want me to push their numbers at them,
No, you can ask
it's
them
really up to you.
if
Okay.
you want 'em, but-
Yeah. And we'll do another announcement on that. It has been a couple months since we've let anyone know that the tool is here and they can come pull their numbers if they would like them. So we'll do an announcement about that as well. One other really good thing about Placer AI, I will say, is it helps astronomically to let us know how the events are doing. Like Oktoberfest got up to 8,000 people, I think, this last one, which jumped their previous year by 2,000 people. So it helps them to know what they've changed and what's helping to pull in people.
I'm done.
Okay, so
good.
If I may.
Oh, go, you start up again.
I have more questions. Okay, so just getting into specifics on these. Okay, so the thing with integrity. Okay, so they're planning on 2, and then what happens? Like they're just like, let's see what happens with those 2, and then we'll decide what to do next. Or what's the plan?
So yeah, they're trying to see what the interest is. Selling a house in a small town is always difficult for a developer, but they are using rural workforce housing and they have a cap on what they could sell those houses at. So that helps get them sold, I think. Once they sell, then the funds go back into our rural workforce housing fund, which keeps funding future houses.
We could only go so far. I mean,
Yeah,
we
you
can only
understand.
build 20 at a time.
Yeah, the fund,
It's like pulling teeth to try to get 2 houses done in this one. I get it.
well, and the fund is only so big too, so it can only afford to build so many houses at a time, so.
Okay, so. So the low-income housing, so this was like one of our pillars. So, okay, so what are deliverables on that? We're in the middle of, negotiating, talking to developers on that. Where, do we have like a targeted time frame? Like we wanna, get this figured out by this time?
Yes.
What's the-
So, and that's all going through the Housing Authority. Brad is a part of that as well. So he's kind of tracking the process. But the process right now is that they would apply in May for state funding to get low to moderate income housing. Because there's not a lot of money to go around when it comes to building houses, but we definitely have, like everyone across the U.S., a housing crisis. So we will continue to fight it off. But that particular initiative is going through the Housing Authority. So I'm just helping them with whatever information they need as far as state housing information, which is where Christy McClung, the regional rep, comes in. But they have identified a developer who's very interested in helping Sydney get some low to moderate income housing.
Previously, the economic development director, or I guess who was me before you, didn't attend every housing authority meeting, but now that they're trying to approach a project, I mean, we definitely need to be involved because for one, we can help them get the right contacts and get the right people, and we can also talk with them about utilities and, electric, water, and what they're gonna need for those types of things. And Brad is the council appoints one person from among you to sit on the Housing Authority Board right now. Brad Sherman.
Willingly appointed to the Housing Authority. But yeah, no, it is quite a process we're going through right now, and I believe the young man's going to be here tomorrow at 9 if he wanted to come in here and meet Chris.
Well, if you would like me to be there, I would love to be there.
I think you need to be there. Yeah, just nobody else can come now. But no, it's.
Okay.
I think David was being very polite. It's a process, and we're doing everything we can to keep as many houses as we can and look for positions on other ones for certain.
Right, I'm just trying to understand because it seems like every one of those strategic meetings that we're having, it's like, yep, this is an emphasis, this is what we're trying to get done, and then it goes to the next one, because it's a process, right?
Yeah, when they did the last, what was it, God, I can't see, what is the one up the hill? Oh my God.
Canterbury
Canterbury.
Estates.
Canterbury Estates. I think that was like a 5-6 year process, so, I mean, there's a lot of federal and state things you gotta go through to, and Brad is learning this too, it takes.
Well, and the reason landing a developer for the housing authority is so awesome and just relieving is because there's not a lot of money in low to moderate income housing. So the developer and then the manager for that property has to be in it for the people. So this particular developer is very much in it for the people. His company has done several projects like this, and like I said, very interested in Sydney.
That's cool. Well, look, I think I've covered the waterfront here. Anybody else got anything?
I have a question. I don't know if it really relates to what we're talking about, but the other project with the houses, the 5 of them that are being built right now, or whatever, 6. Do you feel like not having a local real estate agent might be not helping them sell those? Or
Well, they're still being finished.
yeah, true.
So there's that part. If you ask my opinion, it's marketing if they're not being sold yet. Just need to do some more marketing. We've talked to them a bit about that. So hopefully that picks up some more and we see more visuals come out, like this is what they're going to look like, and then letting people know the cost point.
Okay.
As far as the local real estate
This one
rep,
isn't.
we
I
did
think that
cover that.
lady's from McCook or something. Is that right? Or
Right?
kind of hard to sell a house from McCook, I think, but it's their deal. They can do what they want. But
Yeah, and unfortunately,
I
we
think
don't
the
get
percentage
to
they
dictate
got
it.
was so much better, not to insult any of our realtors.
Gotcha.
Realtors, that's why they did it, but it might be hurting them in the long run,
Mhm.
you might be right.
okay, that's all. I'll add.
They did say that they considered that and weighed the pros and cons of using a local agent.
What about the I-80 corridor development? One thing you mentioned that today.
Yeah, we do have one business that's working on blueprints that is a private location, so we're not, the only way we're involved is letting them know the utilities that they'll be facing, what they'll have to worry about, making sure it gets done for their location. At some point, a replat, rezone, but still, like I said, nothing with Cabela's yet. And then I am talking with Matt this week or next about his available spaces, because I know that he still has some available spaces up by Verizon left. So we're going to be advertising both on social media and the radio availability when it comes to either for sale or rent commercial spaces.
It's fine. We're all learning. And Brandy's halfway done.
You're right.
All right, so thank you for your economic development update, and we look forward to your Hickory Square exploratory work.
Okay, so this one's super exciting. I didn't get to talk about it yet because you guys have to make a decision on if I can continue to work with the UNL students that are interested in this. Jamie Bright, I don't know how many of you know her. She's our regional UNL rep out here. Did point out to me that if we were still interested in pursuing the Hickory Square project, the engineer students of UNL might be interested in creating plans for us to develop the space. And I thought that'd be a great way forward, especially because they're doing it for us for free. So it's kind of a be here now kind of situation. We got lucky that we fell into it and taking advantage of the situation. So there's 5 student teams, each comprised of 4 to 5 students, and each of them would come up with a different plan. As far as choosing one, I'm not sure yet on if we would choose a plan in the future or if we would just get all the plans and then figure out which one we're going to go with. So that's something I still have to work out with that professor. If you guys are interested in me continuing exploratory work with that student group, they would have their capstone reveal. So this is their capstone project. They are all seniors and they're instructed by a certified engineer. So he can direct them in the right direction. They did, and they had lots of questions if we decide to move forward with working with them.
Would they do like a community event where people would come give ideas, or are they gonna come here and visit, or?
So that's part of tonight's ask, is for you guys to let me ask for public input for the next 4 weeks. I wish I could push it out farther, but like I said, this is kind of a thing we stumbled into, and it's a now kind of situation.
So they got to get their capstone project done probably by now.
Yeah, their big reveal is at the very last Friday of April, I believe. I plan to go see it because it's actually going to be the entire building, which is 4 floors tall, of capstone engineer projects. It'll be awesome. But I would like to ask you guys to allow me to ask for public input. That would probably end at the Spring Expo. I think the Spring Expo is going to be the last place that anyone gets a chance to put in their input for this project. And it's going to be asking people what they want to see there. Do you want to see water features, grass, walking paths? What kind of events would you like to see, and stuff like that. The students are really interested also in what kind of vegetation we would like to see there.
I think it sounds like a great idea.
Good idea.
Yep.
I mean, I've been around for a while. Didn't we already have a plan?
I was gonna say-
Drawings-
So,
We had drawings.
Drawings or?
Yeah.
Was that like RDG did that or something?
We had RDG do drawings for us at one point, but that's all it was. It wasn't any kind of engineering.
I can show you what they are. It's not really a plan to move forward.
Wasn't it like taking that
Yeah.
building
So
that
I'm
has
trying to
the,
develop this plan. What's that?
was it taking that building that has the generators in it and kind of utilizing that? Was that what that was?
That was told to them they could come up with some kind of plan for that as well. We'd love to see what they would think for that space. If you guys are willing to let them have a whack at it. Like I said, it's all free and it's not something that we're locked into. Once it's all done, it's just hey, here's a bunch of college students who have great ideas. Let's
say
see what
do
they
it,
can do.
yeah.
One asked me
Yeah.
about a rooftop bar, I think.
Great idea.
All in.
That's awesome. I don't know what that roof's like, but okay. So yeah, they are very interested in seeing what they can come up with for that, because I know a lot of talk has been revolving around space for the arts and maybe some pop-ups for people who don't have a brick and mortar if they want to sell stuff in there. And then I've talked to the electric department too on the process it would take to get all that out of there or utilize it in some way. And we don't know what that looks like either. But this is
Hank
really
does.
just a question on if we can explore it.
Well, now, if we do this and they come up with some plans, would these plans be something more than the drawings that we could actually take and say, okay, here's what we need to do. Now we don't have to spend money on the $30,000 survey or whatever?
We would still have to get engineered blueprints. I'm
Is it your
working with the instructor for that class, and I'm going to ask him if he maybe knows someone that will work with the plans that his students create, and then maybe we can save a little maybe on engineering.
But I mean, for free, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a heck of a deal. They'll give us some ideas. They'll listen to what the public wants and come up with 5 ideas that we can use, modify, or whatever.
To give you an idea of the parameters I gave them, I did say, they could take a look at the old electric plant, and then all the way from one parking lot to the other parking lot from east to west. And their north and south boundaries are the south edge of the sidewalk along Hickory Street, so they're not to mess with the sidewalk, and then the north edge of the alleyway on the south side, so that we could keep that a one-way and still allow for public parking in front of those downtown businesses that are right there, because I know that's a very big point of contention with some down there, so.
David?
I just wanted to add to Rob's point, we did talk about this a while back, and I think at one point we even had, the chamber had some grant monies available. It wasn't nearly enough to do the project, but we did get some drawings out of it from RDG at that point. But I think what Brandy and I wanted to do was make sure that you guys were okay, because as you said, people might be calling you then and say, didn't you guys do this years ago? And I just wanted you guys to be okay with us going out there and asking the public for input. With those questions might be coming to you.
I
Thank you
know
for
that they
bringing
did
that up.
try to make plans back then, but it's not enough for us to go on for a set of engineered blueprints in the future.
Oh, I strongly agree. There's nothing wrong with keep trying.
Agreed.
All right.
Yep.
So, we just need to say yes?
Hopefully you
To
say
vote and yes, or just yes?
I didn't know that this was an action item, so if you guys would just give your verbal approval to continue on.
Brandy, you have my approval.
And that's
Yeah.
for exploratory work and public input?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you can sit down now. Kagan, so it's like everybody has to come up for two things. I love it.
It was 2 for 9.
Two for the price of one.
Okay, good evening, council. So we will start on the TIF portion pursuant to Nebraska State Statute 18-2117.02. The city of Sydney, Nebraska is submitting its annual report on active TIF projects, has a legal taxing jurisdiction in Cheyenne County and the state of Nebraska. We are required by this statute to submit this information before May 1st. So we did have a couple that completed during the past year. So definitely good things there. The Prairie Winds portion, the first modification with the housing and whatnot fell off, and then there was an East Old Post Road that not much actually happened with on that one, but it is complete as well. And then we had the Raj Patel project that was in East Old Post Road as well. That's completed, and we will get those final payments out this fiscal year, so we will see that. But currently, we have 5 active TIF agreements with a total TIF project at $6.7 million. We do have in the last fiscal year that we passed the R. Perry TIF agreement for the Prairie Winds subdivision as well, so that'll create right now 5 dwellings that are under construction. So any questions on the TIF report?
There's got to be at least a couple TIF questions. Everybody knows exactly how that works. Because I don't. So just for example, typical TIF project, how it starts. I mean, you can use one of these, or just kind of explain to us what
So TIF
happens.
is basically and David will probably elaborate as well, but TIF's a developmental tool for blighted areas for corporate or residential aspect. Basically what it does is it takes an undeveloped area, a developer develops it, and then they get paid back those TIF funds from their property tax. So they will pay their property tax. Let's say that TIF property tax is $100,000. So the county will collect the base property tax, and then whatever is over and above. So if it's 105, the county collects 5 on the base, and then the TIF will pay back the 100,000 to the developer over a course of, most of them are 15 years. So for our cases, most of them are 15 years. Extremely blighted, I think, can go up to 20, but that's essentially how it works. Is it's paid back by property taxes for a developmental tool.
I can give you an example really quick. I think the Lodgepole Creek Apartments is a good example. Before those 3 buildings were there and the garages, it was just land, right? And so the land is only valued at whatever the land is worth, and that's it. And, oh, by the way, a TIF is tax increment financing, just, so if people want to know what the acronym stands for. So when they came in to do that project, they came to the city and said, we want to take out a TIF bond. So first you got to go through the process of adding that area, that land to your blighted area, which every city is only allowed so much percentage to be blighted. We're well within ours. I believe last time we did that citywide blight study, we were about 25% 24, 25%, and we're allowed to go up to 30, I believe 35. Anyway, you would declare that blighted, and then they would take out a TIF bond, mostly for the infrastructure is usually what these are done for. They can be done for housing as well. But in that case, it was for all the parking lots, streets, entryways, water, all that kind of thing that would facilitate them to be able to build those 3 apartment buildings there. So now that they're built, for the next 15 years then, when they go in and pay property tax, before they were only paying property tax on a piece of land, right? And now they're paying a much larger property tax because it has these 3, big apartment buildings on it. What happens then is for the first 15 years within the term of that TIF, the original portion that was assessed to that land goes back to all the taxing entities, the city, the county, the NRD, the school district, and the rest of it, which is the lion's share of it, of course, is on the buildings, right? Goes back to that developer to pay off that TIF bond. So it's a way a lot of municipalities use it to get things built. You do sacrifice the property tax for those 15 years on what they call the tax increment, which is everything that has been added. But in the end, like you said, we had 2 of them retire, and so now all these taxing entities, not just us, but the county, the school, the NRD, we'll start seeing that money now because those have expired. So they'll start getting their full value on that rather than. Does that help? Just have an example.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people don't understand, like the $6.7 million that these projects are worth, it's not costing the city anything, right?
No, it's usually the developer that takes out the TIF bond.
And what we're getting is we're taking land that probably wasn't going to be built on in the first place. That's why we've claimed it as blighted. And then we've made an agreement to let somebody build on there, and then they could get the money back that we would tax them for, knowing that in 15 years we'll start receiving the full amount of that tax, or the county will, and then so it's an incentive
Yes.
to build, and then it doesn't cost the city any money.
And every TIF redevelopment plan that I've seen, or all of ours anyway, the developer always has to show that the project might otherwise not be able to take place without that additional tool. And that's almost in every redevelopment agreement that would go before a planning commission or a city council. They have to prove that they probably would not be able to do this if they weren't able to use this tool to do it. So I think you're correct in saying in most cases it wouldn't happen if we didn't do that. So.
All right. Well, I know neither one of you enjoyed that, but thank you for explaining that to everybody. All right. Now I think you can move on.
Okay, going into February's budget report. February was a good month. It's definitely been better than the past. So it was good to see some positive numbers on a monthly level. One of the big cases there, we got a sales tax reimbursement. I did confirm with the state that it was correct. We basically got 2 monthly payments in one, and essentially when talking to them, obviously they wouldn't confirm for private firm questions, but after the conversations, it was, was this potentially somebody that just wasn't filing tax, their consumer use tax, because that's what category this fell into, was consumer use tax. Was it them not filing it? Was it found in an audit? And they said it could be any one of those situations. It could have been the private entity found it themselves. So very broad range, but they did confirm it is the correct numbers. So we did get a very large sales tax reimbursement from the state this year, so that's definitely a positive side. But jumping into property tax DMV, we're up $4.75K to last year, or 6.79%. Obviously a majority of this is just property tax. Sales occupation tax was up $251.9K to last year, or 50.76%. And like I said, that's the big win there is sales tax. When we jump down into the numbers on sales tax itself, we actually were up year over year. So that was definitely a good number to see. And hopefully we continue to see those numbers continue forward into the coming months. It's a 1 month win right now. But we'll take the wins we get, right? So we'll continue to watch it and see where it comes in the future months, because it did bump us up to where we're at within our fiscal year, and even above it in our 0.5% and 1% in the general fund. So it was good to see that kind of bump up. Fees for service was down 14.2K to last year, or negative 144%. This is mainly just a clerical error from last year that we had to correct happened in January. We corrected in February. That's why we're seeing the offset this year. So for the most part, was flat. No real massive changes within that. State, federal, county down 23.5K to last year, or negative 195.25%. This is just a reimbursement from transportation that we actually got in the beginning of March, so it's just a timing issue. Franchise admin fees, obviously big number there, at down being 690.2K to last year. Franchise fees is the main source. So last year we did the audit presentation on that first meeting in February. We were able to pay it out in our accounts payable process to receive that revenue for franchise fees in February, whereas this year we did it on the very last meeting of February, so we will see those hit in March numbers. So really franchise fees will be up, and that's just a 5% fee that is from our proprietary function. So just on there, and we have to wait for the audit to be completed so that we have those gross revenue numbers that have been audited. So that's the reason being. In the other category, we're down $177.12, or 5.14. This is basically just an interest payment from the interest reserve account was being down. So yearly numbers, you can see that, across the board, we're sitting in a good situation for the revenue breakdown. Property taxes up, sales tax up, everything is across the board is up, other than that other category. And the main reason being is just the 13th Avenue building sale happening last year at this time frame. So the main call out there. And like I said, looking at revenue and expenditures across the departments in February, like I said, it was a good month. We have a couple of down funds, but I think I would call those good negatives, right? Because we have projects happening with both those departments. Electric has the generation project going on, and then sewer has the wastewater treatment facility upgrade. So those are good expenses, and we're expanding, operations as needed. And then as we get into those yearly numbers is where it gets a little bit tougher, that we continue to watch. Obviously, general fund down. I guess let me back up a minute here. So I did have an error. That's why you did receive a print off on your yearly revenue and expenditures from all departments. So it'd be from October 24 to February 25. The change was in the expenditure side on the general fund. I believe it was 2.2 or 2.5 in expenditures. That actually was a little over 3 million, bringing the general fund to a negative 815,000. But across the board, sitting negative right now. It's things with the revenue side of things, with what we're going to get out of franchise fees, admin fees. It'll bring us up into a more level playing field within the general fund, but obviously you're going to take effect to your proprietary functions with that franchise fee. So we'll definitely want to continue to watch, but I think as we get into those summer months, we'll see some things turn around. We've had a really dry winter, so imagine there's going to be a fair amount of people with this nice weather that's happened to want to get watering their lawn. So, hopefully that affects water in a good way and everything else. So any questions?
Do you mind, if I may?
I would love it.
As far as the franchise fees are concerned, this is something that everybody that uses our infrastructure, like your Allo, your Spectrum, and all those companies that use our current infrastructure or buried underneath our right-of-ways, pay a franchise fee, which is a percentage of what their revenues are. And most of those companies don't need to go by accrual base. We are a municipality, so we have to go by accrual base accounting. So they can just send it to us, on a monthly or quarterly basis. Here's our percentage of our revenue, and they don't have to go back and adjust it. That's why we get theirs like throughout the year. But with ours, we have to wait until after the audit is done in case there's anything that needs to be moved from one year back to another because a bill came in late or something that needs to be moved back. We need to make sure that we're getting the exact audited numbers so that's on accrual basis before we can chart, because we have to pay them ourselves. Everybody pays it. All those other companies pay it, and then so do our own utilities. We all have to pay franchise fees, and that's pretty common for most municipalities. But the difference between the other businesses paying and ours paying is we have to wait and make sure we have the exact accrual-based audit number. So I hope that helps.
Do you have to, though? Couldn't you make an estimate and then throw it up next month?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Rules.
Yep, it's the rules.
Everybody's got them.
Statutes, ordinances, resolutions.
Ugh.
Any other questions?
All right.
Perfect, thank you.
You're free to go sit down and monitor the visits to our website. Let's see, so we are at February claims, Mr. Rob Coons.
We need to approve the budget.
Motion?
Oh, I guess if you want to follow the rules. Then we need a motion to approve the budget.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. Excuse me. Motion by Radcliffe, second by Bongard. Roll call, please.
Coons?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegard?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
All right. Motion to pass the budget 5-0. And now we can talk about Rob Coons' claims.
Went through them, had a couple questions, got them answered right away.
She's pretty
They
smart,
all
isn't
looked
she?
good.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the February claims?
Motion approved.
Motion by Kirkman,
I'll second.
second by Bondegard. I believe that's his 13th one this evening.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegard?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
Coons?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0, and now we are on to the manager's report.
I do have a few things. I thought the league conference was very informative, and thank you to all of the council that went as either first-time or not first-time council members to that. And also wanted to give a special thanks to Senator Stroman, who also showed up for our senator luncheon. So that was pretty awesome to have our senator there. Not everybody's senator was there, but ours was, so that was good. The police department open house on their new building and ribbon cutting will be March 24th, 2025. The event will go from 4 to 6 p.m., so feel free to show up and check out the new building. It's pretty awesome. But the ribbon cutting will actually happen at 4:30, so if you want to be there for that and get in the photo ops and all that, that will be at 4:30 when the chamber does the ribbon cutting for that event. And then I want to give you a quick update. The solar project is almost ready to go. Here, they're estimating that April 1st, somewhere between April 1st and 5th, they will start energizing it to do some testing, to make sure everything is working. And by the middle of April, they should have it charged and running, and we can start pulling in that electricity. And so that's almost done. And they are working on signing a lease with a local somebody that owns property and a building so that they can have their regional hub here. So that's pretty awesome as well. And I know they're almost done with getting that contract worked out. And for the underpass, it was closed for a little while today, right? Down to one lane while they took some samples of rebar. Yep, rebar samples. But they're looking at starting that, I believe, the second week of April. Am I saying that right? I believe that's right. I think they're looking at 17th, right? 17th was their estimated date to start that project.
Next week? Yeah, May.
March. Yes, next week. They took the sample today. Yeah, of course, weather permitting. Pretty nice though, so far, so. we'll try to keep the public informed that there's gonna be some one-way traffic and some flaggers for at least a portion of that project, so. And then, with the landfill, the pink grass cans start the first Wednesday in April. So if you have one of those or want to get one of those and don't have one, that starts the first week in April, so you can start putting your grass clippings in those pink cans and getting those taken away. And that goes through the end of October. And while we're on the landfill, they've also announced their Saturday hours will be going from April to October, and that's the third Saturday of each month. So if you can't get there during the day when the landfill is open, you can do it on the third Saturday of the month between April and October.
Nice. Well, I think you need to mention a little bit about your sacrifice on Wednesday after the league meeting to help prevent the state thefting more of our money. Is that the nice way to say it?
Well, yeah. There was legislation introduced to remove property tax equalization funds for cities of the first class. Most of the larger cities who have lots of other property tax or sales tax and other types of revenues. I know Lincoln doesn't get any, and I don't think Kearney does, and I don't believe Omaha does, and a lot of the other La Vistas and Bellevues. I think Bellevue does get some, but Pillion doesn't. That wouldn't have made much of a difference to them because they already don't get it. The people that would have been hit the hardest would have been the cities that were between, first class city starts at 5,000, so up to 15,000. And I did stay to testify in opposition of that because Sydney is in that area of the cities that would have been hurt the hardest. And also want to thank Senator Stroman for working on an amendment to remove cities from that legislation between 5 and 15,000, so that did take us out of the target for now, but it is something that we want to continue to monitor. I know that he actually put a hold on the bill to do a study while I was there testifying. The senator that introduced it came and asked to put a hold on it and keep it in committee while he could do a study to see what they could come up with for a better solution, and I'm all in favor of that. I know that we didn't used to get any of this when I first got here. I didn't even know what that was. Equalization, what? I mean, Sydney never got any of that money. But then when Bass Pro bought out Cabela's, and as you know, over about 2 years period of time, we lost 25% of our overall city assessed value. I think it was 12% one year and 13% the next. So that's a gigantic hit to your overall city assessed value, which is what calculates some of this equalization money, and we did start getting it then. I mean, it's my hope we wouldn't need it, much longer, but, it was very helpful when we needed it, and I thought it was worthy of me testifying on that base, and I was super thrilled to hear that they're gonna put it on hold and do some further research to find out what really is the best method for that type of program.
Fantastic. No, we appreciate you doing that. And
That's why I wasn't here.
appreciate the update.
Last meeting.
All right. Now, Lori.
I'm good.
Kendra?
I'm good, thanks.
Fantastic. Hank?
I always got something.
Attaboy.
Well, first of all, the underpass is gonna be inconvenient at times. They say there might be a couple times where you may have to fully close it, but not hopefully for only a couple, 3 hours at a time. But that may or may not happen. They won't know till they get in there and eventually see everything that's done in behind there. Because it's been open for a while, there could be some washout in the back, a little more extensive work. Won't know until they start doing it, but they're gonna work hard with us to keep it open, at least one lane open. Pedestrian traffic is gonna be an issue, because the pedestrian walkway is going to have to be closed. And I don't know how the pedestrians are gonna get across the tracks.
Boy, they could take a bus.
Yeah.
Free rides from the north side for the month or whatever? Work something
I mean,
out.
we'll probably have to do something. I got a couple ideas, but I'm not gonna say them with David yet. I just thought of them this afternoon.
You're saying this has got to be closed just during the it has to be closed just while the project's being
Just
fixed?
during the project. Yeah, it'll be back open when it's all.
Okay.
That's literally right where it's
They
damaged.
gotta walk right where they're gonna be tearing out. So they don't have like as much space maybe to walk at times, and that's not safe for anybody. And they can't walk across the tracks, that's private property,
That seems like-
that's a nightmare waiting to happen. So it's gonna be an issue, but we'll try to do the best we can. That and, excuse me, I want to thank Kyle for his interest in wanting to take this job over. We're fortunate to have that. The municipalities all over, we go to conferences and stuff, and there's not very many younger guys around. It's all older guys, nobody wants to get involved, because it's kind of like doing snow removal. You get up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's 20 below, you clear the roads, and you get criticized. That's the things you get. And it's not just here, there's a lot of places people don't want to get involved in public works because of that, they're criticized all the time. So my hat's off to him to want to do that. He's been here long enough, he knows how that's gonna be. Another thing, with the graphic design from Miss Wells here, she did one for us for snow removal. And it turned out really good, because the difference I can try to thing is what I see is you open up a newspaper, you got a lot of print and reading, hey, can I glance nothing? But if you have pictures and you have a design thing, oh, I wonder what's this all about? And then you'll read it. She did a very good job, showed the stages of our snow removal, how we do it. And so now, everybody knows that's the snow policy, and that's what we can expect, no more, no less. And she also put in there, different snows make different storms, not all the same, so if summertime it's gonna vary. And she did a very good job of it, and I'm very happy with it. That's all I got.
Excellent. All right. Kagan?
Sitting at 25 total views, and 8 of them are still watching.
Well, tell them I said hi. Kyle, I think legally we can allow you to say something if you want now.
Hank took the lid right on the mouth.
All right, well,
I just want to tell him thanks for showing me the roads.
no, I know exactly how Hank feels. It's very appreciative to find someone that doesn't mind taking the reins and everything that comes with it, which always isn't great, so thank you. All right. Dean?
Oh, I stole your thunder, sorry about that.
He just came here. He sat here for an hour and a half so he could tell you about the pink trash cans.
Trash cans, and I didn't.
And then you just stole it right out from under him. Tell you what. He probably ain't coming in tomorrow.
Nope. They're saying.
Casey?
I'm good, thank you guys. See you first.
All right. Brandy?
Maybe it's not fair for me to talk again, but I did forget to mention that this year's kind of starting off rough for some businesses, and if you know of any that are maybe laying off some of their workforce, like I've heard all day today, would you please send them my way, or let them know that they should come talk to the city to see if there's any opportunity in job creation or retention.
Yeah. And if you have a business that could use some help, reach out to Brandy as well so they can streamline this whole process and keep people working in Sydney. So thank you.
Interested in keeping jobs, so.
Yes, absolutely. Autumn?
Seasonal hire, we're looking for a parks department. So if anybody wants to be a seasonal employee, we're looking for parks department.
Excellent. All right, and Brandy mentioned earlier the awesome Sydney department heads. Sam, would you like to say something?
No, I'm good. Look forward to seeing you guys hopefully on the 21st.
Yeah, absolutely. 21st, 4:30 for the picture. All right. Well, that is great. Now, Brandon?
Nothing.
Mark?
Nothing.
Brett? Oh,
And I have nothing.
nothing? Well, that leaves the rest of the time for me. So clearly, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of reports, a lot of things to report. And I will say the same thing David did as at the municipalities conference. I think is awesome to send some new people to. We sent a couple new guys down there to meet some people, talk to some people. You learn a lot. Sitting right next to other people doing the same job, same questions, and some of the and some of the things. So it was hugely important. Then, of course, the second day, it may be too early to predict, but we did get to eat lunch with possibly the greatest senator to ever senator over District 47. Got to went over to the legislature and got on the floor, and we were. I don't know. There was quite a few senators that came up to approach us and talk about. Yeah, I mean, Paul's been there for a month and knows everybody, and it was pretty awesome. We went to his office and saw all the people in there, and he's making an impact. He hit the ground running. He's on 4 committees, and so he left that very seat right there, and has been nothing but busy since. So it's fantastic. It was great experience. So clearly, a lot of people are very fond of Paul Stroman, and I can't mention that enough. And then, speaking of extreme fondness, the entire city and county that we live in has some of the most amazing people consistently show up. We had 2 fundraisers back to back, and speaking of foot traffic, it would be awesome to know how many people actually physically went into those 2 buildings. Because I know for a fact there was at least 400 at each one, 400 very gracious people. We had a benefit for the Block family and their 2-year-old son that's battling cancer on Friday night, raised a ton of money. We sold a 18-pack of eggs for $1,100. So clearly just a little bit higher than the going rate.
So you lost money.
Everything goes for less. But no, it was just extremely amazing to see the people that showed up and the amount of concern. Even and again, when you have something like that, a fundraiser, if you just go throw some money in the free will donation and shake some hands and go home, that is huge. And then, of course, the very next day was the Pheasants Forever fundraiser. Everybody was concerned about how the turnout was there. It was packed. The very first thing the Pheasants Forever fundraiser did was auction off the first table to go eat, and that money went to the Block fundraiser for the night before. It was like $2,200 to eat first. So, I mean, amazing people. Met so many amazing people at those 2 nights, and just that alone doesn't warm your heart for what this city is capable of continuously doing for those of us that can use some help and sometimes just a smile. So if you have any stories like that, you'd like to tell them to me. My number is 249-2321. Please call me anytime. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 7. Whoa, no, we won't. And there's like 4 people that were on that one, so nice job. They're just waiting for me to stop talking so they can stop me again. But we are going to have a closed session for personnel reasons. Closed session for personnel reasons. There may be some action afterwards, but probably not. But we're going to close this session. And like I love to say, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So
We need a motion?
we will accept a motion since the doors are open for closed session.
Motion. I would
Motion
motion
by
we
Radcliffe,
session For personnel matters.
second by Kirkman. Roll call, please.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegaard?
Yes.
Kirkman?
Yes.
Coons?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes. All right, this meeting is officially in closed session at 7:13.